Congressman Al Green, then our own Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and then finally the mayor of this fine city, Mayor Sylvester Turner, in that order. God bless you.
Hello, everyone, on this day of prayer, where we try to understand God's plan in our pain. To George's family and friends, Jill and I know the deep hole in your hearts when you bury a piece of your soul deep in this earth. As I've said to you privately, we know you will never feel the same again. For most people, the numbness you feel now will slowly turn day after day, season after season into purpose through the memory of the one they lost. But for you, that day has come before you can fully grieve. And unlike most, you must grieve in public. And it's a burden. A burden that is now your purpose to change the world for the better, in the name of George Floyd. Like so many others, I've watched with awe as you summon the absolute courage to channel God's grace and show the good man George was. To stir justice too long dormant, to move millions to act peacefully and purposefully. But among all the people around the world who feel connected to this tragedy are the ones who lost something that can never ever be replaced. To George's children and grandchild, I know you miss your dad and your granddad. Little Gianna, as I said to you when I saw you yesterday, you're so brave. Daddy's looking down, he's so proud of you. I know you miss that bear hug that only he could give. The pure joy riding on his shoulders so you could touch the sky. The countless hours he spent playing any game you wanted because your smile, your laugh, your love is the only thing that mattered at the moment. I know you have a lot of questions, honey. No child should have to ask questions that too many black children have had to ask for generations. Why? Why's Daddy gone? And looking through your eyes, we should also be asking ourselves why the answer is so often too cruel and painful. Why in this nation do too many black Americans wake up knowing that they could lose their life in the course of just living their life? Why does justice not roll like a river or righteousness like a mighty stream? Why? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can't turn away. We must not turn away. We cannot leave this moment thinking we can once again turn away from racism that stings at our very soul, from systemic abuse that still plagues American life. As Thurgood Marshall once implored, quote, America must dissent from indifference. It must dissent from fear, the hatred, and the mistrust. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. I grew up with Catholic social doctrine, which taught me that faith without works is dead, and you'll know us by what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to deal with the denial of the promise of this nation to so many people for so long. It's about who we are, what we believe, and maybe most importantly, who we want to be, to ensure that all men and women are not only created equal, but are treated equally. We can heal this nation's wounds and remember its pain, not callous the heart and forget. I know Reverend Sharpton is there in Houston with you today. Rev, I watched you speak from Ecclesiastes last week in Minnesota, chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a time and a purpose and a season under the heavens. Well, today, now is the time, the purpose, the season to listen and heal. Now is the time for racial justice. That's the answer we must give to our children when they ask why. Because when there is justice for George Floyd, we will truly be on our way to racial justice in America. And then, as you said, Gianna, your daddy will have changed the world. May God be with you, George Floyd, and your family. And the words of a hymn from my church based on the 91st Psalm, may he raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, and make you to shine like the sun and hold you in the palm of his hand. God bless you all. God bless you all.
To this family, the Floyd family, to Reverend Al Sharpton, the voice for the hopeless, help for the helpless, and power to the powerless. I think you merit some love for all the things that you do. To Attorney Crump, who takes on the cases that many people would conclude are lost causes, but you do it and you win because you fight. I think you deserve some love. Just a few more. We are honored today here in the 9th Congressional District to have the chairperson of the conscience of the Congress. The Honorable Karen Bass is with us. She has traversed some distance. Would you please show her and the members of the CBC some love? Would you please stand? This is my congressional district. I want all of the Congress people who are here to stand, please. Show them some love. My colleague Jackson Lee is here. Thank you. To Mayor Turner, my dear friend and fraternity brother, to Judge Hidalgo, the commissioners, to all of the members of the council. And I want to say a special word about another great American who's here with us today, one whose name means helper of humankind, one who was there with Dr. King, one who is the father of the civil rights movement right here in Houston, Texas, one that we know and love, the Honorable William Alexander Lawson. He deserves some love. He is in the house today. The Honorable William Alexander, helper of humankind, Lawson. The friends and family again, I'm not here today as a Democrat. We're not here as Republicans. We're not here because we're rich or poor. We're not here because we're conservative or liberal. We are here because Pastor Remus Wright was so right when he said, we have no expendables in our community. George Floyd was not expendable. This is why we're here. His crime was that he was born black. That was his only crime. George Floyd deserved the dignity and the respect that we accord all people simply because they are children of a common God, and it's very unfortunate that we have to be here, but we're going to celebrate the life of George Floyd today. And to the family, it's important that I say this to you. We who are here today are here to say we stand with you. We will be there for you. Let's let them know they are not alone. Let's give them some love. Let's say to this family, we are here to stay. Say it for the family, please, with some love. Give them some love, please, the family. I believe you can do better than that. If you love them and you know it, why don't you stand up and show it? Let's make it clear that we are here for them, that we will make it known to the world that they are not going to suffer because we are going to support them. And finally this, members of Congress have the privilege of having flags flown over the Capitol. We do it for important occasions, important people. But I want you to know this. I had this flag flown over the Capitol because I want the United States of America to respect George Floyd. That's why this flag was flown. I want the United States of America to show him the respect that he richly earned simply because he was born in this country, because he's a human being, and because he is not expendable. That's why this flag was flown. And I have a resolution that will be presented to the family. And this resolution will become a part of the records of the Congress of the United States of America. This resolution is going to say to those who look through the vista of time that at this time there lived one among us who was a child of God who was taken untimely, but we're going to make sure that those who look through time, that they will know that he made a difference within his time, because he changed not only this country, not only the United States, he changed the world. George Floyd changed the world. And we're going to make the world know that he made a difference. Dear brothers and sisters, we have a duty, responsibility, and an obligation not to allow this to be like the other times. We have a responsibility to not only George Floyd, but to all of those other persons, Breonna Taylor. Yeah. We have a responsibility to each one of them to make sure that we do not walk away today after having celebrated his life and not taken the next step to commemorate and to assure the future generations that this won't happen again. It's time. So, brothers and sisters, the Congressional Black Caucus has done something. It's historic. The Honorable Karen Bass, under her leadership, we have now a law that makes it against the law to put your foot on the neck of a person. It's against the law. You can't have a no-knock law. It's against the law. You're going to have to wear your body cameras. It's against the law. The Congressional Black Caucus is making a difference. But I believe there's one more thing that we ought to do to make a difference. We have got to have reconciliation. This country has not reconciled its differences with us. We survived slavery, but we didn't reconcile. We survived segregation, but we didn't reconcile. We're suffering invidious discrimination because we didn't reconcile. It's time for a Department of Reconciliation in the highest land, the highest office. It's time to have someone who's going to make it his or her business to seek reconciliation for black people in the United States of America every day of his life. That's what it is it's all about. It's time for us to reconcile. We need a Department of Reconciliation. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Just before Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee comes, let me tell you, we have a gate time at the cemetery for 3 o'clock. And I want us to be conscious of the fact that we've got a long, drawn-out program here. And I want to give the guest speaker an opportunity to have what he has to say. I want to give the family certainly an opportunity to say what they have to say, and the preachers that are on program to say what they have to say. So I'm asking all of you, if you will just be brief, brothers and sisters, be brief. Amen. 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 We've got to get through this. They have to get to the cemetery before 3 o'clock. And you know, that's a long entourage going that way. So I'm asking you to be sensitive to everybody that's coming behind you. And let's try to keep it to the 2-minute rule, okay? Let's do as best we can. I'm going to forego my remarks today. I can speak to the family at a later time and tell them and encourage them. And I want to give an opportunity to make sure that all the family's requests are met. So I'm asking you, when you come forward, please, 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 be sensitive to 2 minutes, okay? God bless you. God bless you. Encourage your heart.
This is a time for the family. This is a time for the healing of the wound, of the pain that no one else in this place can walk and feel at this time. To the Floyd family, let me acknowledge your pain. Let me come as a humble servant to be able to respect and to give dignity to the ages that the ex-slaves' descendants have faced in this nation. Let me heal the wound of the majority of African American men who have suffered at the hands of the wrong mindset, a warrior mindset instead of a guardian of peace mindset in the practice of law enforcement. But it is your time today. In keeping with that moment, allow me to offer these words. We know that centuries ago, they took a man, wicked men, put him on the cross, did not understand that though they were intending wickedness, that out of much intention of wickedness came goodness. Your loved one, George Floyd, this secular world failed in its duty to intervene, failed in its duty to act, and failed in its duty to aid. But George Floyd answered the question in death when it was asked in Isaiah, Lord, who should I send? Oh God, have mercy on us. There was a tall man by the name of Big Floyd who stood up and said, Lord, send me. And so as we come today, people of statute, those who humble themselves before God, we come to pay tribute to a man who said, send me. And I want to acknowledge those young marchers in the streets. Many of them could not be in this place. They are black and brown, they are Asian, they are white. They are protesting and marching, and I'm saying, as a mama, I hear your cry. That is what George Floyd wanted us to know. And I guess he wanted us to know, family, about CUNY Homes and Jack Yates. Somebody might have said, what good comes out of Nazareth? And somebody else might have said, what good comes out of Third Ward? I am so grateful today to be able to say a man by the name of Big Floyd walked amongst us down those CUNY home blocks, went on up to that crimson and red, and began to mentor and make a legacy that no one can deny. I want you to know, my friends, that as these members of Congress, give me a moment, Chairwoman Karen Bass, the Congressional Black Caucus, leadership Barbara Lee, Congressman Hank Johnson, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Congresswoman Deb Haaland from New Mexico. They're across the nation. They are here because they are honoring a brother that came out of the heart of Third Ward and Jack Yates. They are here to honor that leadership. So as I conclude, George Floyd was here on an assignment. It is painful to be able to accept that. I'm so sorry I know him in death. But he was here on an assignment. Some folk on assignments only get to stay 30 years. When the wicked men thought they had done something. George Floyd took it 46 years. He walked this journey. He left behind sisters and brothers who could stand up against the adversity of life when the camera came and people asked to PJ and others, "What do you want?" We want justice. We want justice. So, my friends, I don't know if I'll ever get 8 minutes and 46 seconds, Reverend Sharpton, out of my DNA. I don't know if I'll ever be able to overcome the words, "I can't breathe." Eric Garner's mother and Trayvon Martin's mother and all the mothers and Robbie Tolan, I can't breathe. But what I will say, that the assignment of George Floyd and the purpose will mean there will be no more 8 minutes and 46 seconds of police brutality. There will be no more 8 minutes and 46 seconds of injustice and the mistreatment of African American men at the hands of the laws of this nation and anyone else. There will be no more 8 minutes and 46 seconds that you will be in pain without getting justice. His assignment turned into a purpose, and that purpose was around the world, that there are people rising up that will never sit down until you get justice. And so I say to all of those who are here, to that, from Senator Miles, from Grant Malone, who works in this venue, all of these pastors, what we say is that we will not sit down, like Rosa Parks said, until justice comes. And so let me make it very clear as I go to my seat. What was done for wicked, for those who mourn that day that we know, came to a day where man rose. And so I say to George Floyd, it'll be up to us that his purpose and his assignment for the justice of this nation, for the fact that there will never be the brutality faced by a man that says, "I can't breathe," and calls to a mama who loved him so. That is the right and call for all of us. And so, as the Lord and the scriptures said, when asked, "Who should I send?" the first who said, "Send me," was George Floyd. Are they going to be able, or he going to be able to have each and every one of you say, "Send me"? To God be the glory for the great things he has done. May God bless his family, and God bless George Floyd and the United States of America. God bless you, and I honor you and pray for you. We have a flag that will be given on behalf of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. This family will receive presidential letters from former President Barack Obama and former President Bill Clinton. Reverend, thank you for all you do. God bless you.
And now Sharpton and all the other clergy that are here Marbury and Martin families, and certainly to this particular family. Let me just adopt and incorporate all that you have already heard into this presentation. Let me just speak, briefly say, on behalf of the city of Houston, let me thank this family for standing in the gap for your brother, your father, your cousin, your family member. And let me thank you for your courage and your strength in representing him and representing yourselves extremely well. And then I want to thank you on behalf of this city for seeking justice for George, while at the same time asking people all around the world to do it respectfully and peacefully. On behalf of this city, I think we owe a great deal of gratitude to this family, and I want to say thank you. Let me just say to you that people all over the world and elected officials on all levels are doing things that they otherwise might not have done, had not done, because of George. You know, I announced that in this city I would be creating this task force on policing reform. But at the same time, that we'll work things through and we'll get that done within a 90-day period. But as I speak right now, the city attorney is drafting an executive order, an order that I will sign when I get back to City Hall. And what that order will say is that in this city, we will ban chokeholds and strangleholds. In this city, we will require de-escalation. In this city, you have to give a warning before you shoot. In this city, you have a duty to intervene. In this city, we will require comprehensive reporting. In this city, you must exhaust all alternatives before shooting. And there will be other things in this executive order. But I want you to know it goes beyond just policing, because I have been talking with business owners and CEOs over the last several weeks. And what I've said to them, when we invest in communities that have been underserved and underinvested in, where we haven't done the investments, then you don't have to spend as much on policing if you take the necessary funds and invest in our communities. And so I want you to know, in this family to know, that we appreciate everything that you all have done. And lastly, I will say this. George and this family, rearing up in Houston, 3rd Ward, the trade, coming out of CUNY homes, who would have thought that his name would now be mentioned in South Africa, Canada, Nairobi, Berlin, South Korea, Europe, a person who may not have been known by many before, but what folk meant for evil, God has turned it out for good. We honor him, Reverend Sharpton, not because he was perfect, but we honor him today because when he took his last breath, the rest of us will now be able to breathe. So therefore I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proudly proclaim June 9, 2020 as George Perry Day in the City of Houston. To God be the glory for the good he has done.
It's 0 hours.
family today, especially George. But I just want to make this statement. The world knows George Floyd. I know Perry Jr. He was a pesky little rascal, but we all loved him. And I just want to thank all the mothers that are here today. And if you've got a nephew, an uncle, just hug them and just let them know we are for all these young black men that are coming up in this world today, and just hug them and love them, because we don't ever know when the time will come. I just want to thank each and every one of you. I have gained such a huge family all over the world. I have so many sisters and brothers now. I have aunts and uncles, and I just want to thank you all. There's too many names to remember, but God knows in his heart that I love this Floyd family. I love my sister, and I can't talk about George Perry Jr. unless I bring up his mother's name. Everybody, everyone knows her as Miss Sissy in 3rd Ward, Cutie Home, Texas. And I just want to say I love you. I love all the support, and my family know I do. And we all are one. Thank you.
I just want to say that I'm going to miss my brother a whole lot, and I just want to say to him, I love you, and I thank God for giving me my own personal Superman. God bless you all.
First off, I want to say hello. My name is Brooke Williams, George Floyd's niece, and I can breathe. Long as I'm breathing, justice will be served for Perry. First off, I want to thank all of you for coming out to support George Perry Floyd. My uncle was a father, brother, uncle, and a cousin to many. Spiritually grounded, an activist, he always moved people with his words. Their officer showed no remorse while watching my uncle's soul leave his body. He begged and pleaded many times just for you to get up, but you just pushed harder. Why must this system be corrupt and broken? Laws were already put in place for the African-American system to fail. And these laws need to be changed. No more hate crimes, please. Someone said, make America great again, but when has America ever been great? Those 4 officers were literally on him for 9 minutes, and none of them showed they have a heart or soul. This is not just murder, but a hate crime. I share happy memories with my uncle. Now that's all I have, are memories. I still can't pull myself together to how he is calling out my grandma a name. I believe my grandmother was right there with open arms saying, come home, baby, you shouldn't feel this pain. No one should feel this pain. My most favorite memory with my uncle was when he paid me to scratch his head after long days of work. We arrived at home. We even created a song about it called Scratch My Head, yeah. But after that, I knew he was a comedian. He always told me, baby girl, you're going to go so far with that beautiful smile and brains of yours. Another favorite memory is when me and my grandmother was so worried. I mean, she was crying. All I remember is me saying, Granny, it's okay. We'll find a way. but I wasn't entirely sure about how we were going to get to my uncle's PJ's wedding. We had no way to contact anyone, but here comes my uncle, busting through the door like Superman. I was young, by the way, probably 10 or 11. My grandmother was also handicapped, and he had this big truck we had to ride in. I was wondering, how was my grandmother going to get in that truck? But he just placed it in the truck like it was light work. I never questioned anyone's strength, but it was unbelievable how my uncle and grandmother broke their backs to always see their children smile and made a way when it seemed impossible. Quote, Tupac, I'm sorry, y'all. Changes. You see, the old way wasn't working, so it's on us to do what we gotta do to survive. America, it is time for a change, even if it shall begin with more protests, no justice, no peace. My brother and basically my other mom tells me this all the time, but God sits high, but he looks low. Thank you, Houston. It's always love in the hometown.
I really don't know what to say after my niece, but she told the whole story. But I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about my brother a lot because I couldn't believe it at first, but I see it now. All I think about is when he was yelling for mama. And I know how mama is. She's just right there. She got her hands wide open. Come here, baby. Every mama felt that. But when he yelled, please, please, I can't breathe, I stopped wearing ties. I didn't want to wear a tie no more because I wanted to be able to breathe. I went to memorials, no tie. I could have had one on, but right now, I want justice for my brother, my big brother. That's Big Floyd. Everybody know who Big Floyd is now. 3rd Ward, CUNY Homes, that's where we was born at, but we're gonna be remembered. Everybody gonna remember him around the world. He's gonna change the world. My mom, if she was here today, I honestly can say this, that she will be on that casket right now, trying to get in there with him. She's a real mom. A real mom. She's not gonna separate from anybody. She's just like animals. They cling to their mom. I love y'all. Y'all showed a lot of support. I love y'all. I'm speechless right now.
Good afternoon. My name is Cyril White, and I am the director of To God Be the Glory Sports. Before I came the director of To God Be the Glory Sports, I met Big Floyd. I spent so many of my college summers playing basketball with him. He had a good friend named Mike Riggs who went to Worthing, and I would go pick up Mike Riggs and we would go get Big Floyd, and we'd be at Nettleton Park and McGregor Park and Sunnyside Park or wherever we can go find a good game. Well, then fast forward to 1998, I started a college exhibition tour team touring around the country, going to play different colleges and exhibition games, and Big Floyd, that was my first power forward. I would be calling around trying to get contracts with the different schools, and the coaches would ask me, who's your big man? And I would say, George Floyd. They say, oh, you got Big Floyd. Okay, well, your team must be pretty good. And so then we would go off and play. And not only did George play on the team, but he recruited a lot of other guys from 3rd Ward and the CUNY Homes to come and join me. And a lot of those guys got college scholarships, and some of those guys even played professionally overseas. So it's been well established how much George Floyd was an avid sports fan and always about sports. And I was sharing with Lil Wu earlier this week that I've already secured a commitment for 3 acres of land here in Houston to do a George Floyd Memorial Sports Center. I just kept thinking about what could I do, and I had a lot of support from around the world from my different sponsors, and yes, I had one guy step up and said, hey, Cyril, I can definitely provide the real estate, and we just work on the vertical improvement, so that's where we are with that. One thing that we did, and I'm going to get out here fast, at To God Be the Glory Sports, we read the Proverbs. That's what was our spiritual exercise to try to grow in practical wisdom as young men. We would read a chapter of Proverbs. Everybody would read 2 verses out loud, and then they pass the Bible to the next guy, right? So Sylvester Turner, our honorable mayor, said that today is George Floyd Day. So I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 6, the 6th and verse 9 through 11. And this is Big Floyd speaking. It says, how long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. Well, I can definitely see how Big Floyd has woken us up out of our sleep, correct? I mean, we're all up from our sleep. We are not slumbering anymore. This poverty and this scarcity talked about in the scripture, that is how we treat each other. Humanity. We are poor in humanity. We are poor in empathy. But I can feel that everyone is going to rise against injustice, and be sure that all human beings are treated the same so that George Floyd's memory will not be in vain. To the family, thank you for allowing me to speak and share this memory about Big Floyd, and to God be the glory to you all. Thank you very much.
You know, hearing everyone speak thus far about Big Floyd, I mean, great brother. We got a great family on stage, great family in this church house today. Curing Home family, extended family, found the Praise Church. Thank everybody. And one thing, you know, I'm being strong for my family. And one thing about Big Floyd, he'll tell me right now, little bro, be strong. Just be thankful for day to day, and just celebrate his life and happiness. He wouldn't want us weeping so hard, but you know, I'm trying, but it's very hard. I mean, I got so many great memories to share, stories to tell, but you know, they're just getting stuck inside. And again, you know, no, I got it. Oh man, but one of the best only things on my mind, honestly, we gotta seek this justice out for my brother, and we gonna get it together. Everyone in this church, all the great city councilmen and women in this crowd, thank you very much. Sheila, oh my God. Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you. Master Sylvester Turner, Earl Green, and the rest of you guys for comforting and calling us, letting us know for the last couple of days and week, giving us y'all major support, and everyone in the world, again, for the major support and love that y'all sharing and giving, inboxing, sharing these beautiful pictures. Thank you guys. And we're gonna keep this fight on, and we're gonna do this together, and we all in it together, and we're gonna finish this together. And united we stand, and again, we're standing for George Floyd, and thank everyone that came, showing love.
Matter. His in vain. What's his name?
My little brother, for giving him his first security job. My little brother, was a friend. He was a mentor. He was a father. He was a basketball player. He was a football player. But most of all, he was a human being. And if I tell you I never could say no to this kid, out of all the flaws and trials and tribulations that we go through, what we went through, all the times he kept make me mad and make everybody mad, we still love him. I couldn't say no. So when the family came to me and asked me, did you go speak? I will speak. I will keep on speaking. I will fight. I will fight. I will fight. Because I've been fighting for him, and I will keep on fighting for him. You know, we ask ourselves who we meet and who we come in encounter with in life. I came in encounter with, and we all came in encounter with, if you knew him, a ghetto angel. A ghetto angel. A brother. You know, you hate evil, but you love good. And what my brother was, my little bro, was good. You can't slander his name with me. You can't talk bad about him to me, because I knew him. And if you knew Flo, if you knew Floyd, if you know Jew, if you knew Jew, you understand the words coming out of my mouth. And I ask you, fight for my brother. Help me fight for my brother. Help the family fight for my brother. Because he was someone. I thank you. The family thanks you. And I will not give up on you, bro. I love you, little bro. And I got you.
You should be on your feet right now, giving the glory to God right now. Get on your feet. Give him. Walk the halls of Jack Yates or Ryan. We're going to say Cullen too. Stand up. Stand up. George Floyd was an all-American tight end. George Floyd was a power forward, was my power forward. So I'm speaking on the behalf of my brother. Blood, sweat, and tears every single day. It's hot outside. It's hot in the gym. Not one time did I ever see George Floyd complain. Not one time. He, without sin, cast the first stone. Huh? He, without sin, cast the first stone. I hear everybody talking. Y'all want the real or y'all want the fake? You want the real today, right? My brother, he's sitting here. He didn't have to be sitting here today. Those men that stood on my brother's neck changed the world. They took somebody from us that was great. When I say great, I never heard him complain, not one time. He was an umbrella to all of us. He was 6'6". Any rain came our way, he made sure that he could cover for us. From the CUNY home to Jack Yates High, he was everybody's shelter. Everybody's shelter. I don't care what George Floyd did. I don't care. Let me tell y'all something. He was a human being, first of all. I couldn't sleep Monday night. I don't know why. I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning Memorial Day in my bed. I don't know why. As I woke up the next morning and got so many texts, and I said, what? I haven't even seen the whole tape. It hurts my heart, y'all. We all hurt in America right now. Am I right or wrong? But one thing, but God, because all we need right now in this world today is what? Love. Turn to your neighbor and tell him you love him right now. Turn to him right now and tell him you love him. That's all we need. You see how that feel? George Floyd told me he loved me. He told everybody out here that he touched, he loved them. George Floyd is love. That's who George Floyd is. This is for him. We love him. If you love George Floyd and you know how George Floyd was with you, you know you're going to always be George Floyd. I am George Floyd. You are George Floyd. That could have been anyone else in here, but God. God said, well done, Floyd. So as I sit here and tell you all right now, George Floyd is in the bosom of God. He's in the bosom of God. He's all right, y'all. So I'm here to tell y'all, stay positive, America. It's a debt that you have to repay. But God said, not this debt. You're going to have to repay it. This is the last. So as I sit here and I see so many people coming together, so many races, and I say, you know what? Because of the love of George Floyd, we are all here together today. So make sure you turn to you never know how long we got, y'all. You never know. The key is love. I love y'all. Brady Barb, I'm out.
This man changed the world. Changed the world for the better. So I just want to personally thank George Floyd for his sacrifice so that my kids can be all right later on. I appreciate the sacrifice, my brother. I genuinely do. Sorry, I ain't coming to the top. All right. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad.
Player. And finally, he was a person who knew the Lord.
Represented, and that we can continue to fight the injustices that are throughout this country. And so we also have Pastor Stephen Wells speaking for us. He does such a wonderful job down in Midtown, Houston, and we're glad to have him with us. And finally, then we have my good friend and brother, Dr. Ralph Douglas West, pastor of the Church Without Walls, who will speak in that order. Reverend Bill Lawson, Reverend Stephen Wells, and then Dr. Ralph Douglas West.
Pastors Wright, Brother Remus and Sister Mia, to this family, who hopefully has been comforted by the many people who have come today and who have given to us a portrait of the man we only knew through the news, but who we now know not only as a human being, but as a great human being. We're glad to have known George Floyd. And to all those who have come out today, and I'm personally proud that you have come. Many more came but couldn't get in. But that many people wanted to come. I see that you have destroyed all laws of social distancing. Thanks to Pastor Remus Wright, who simply said, let's just forget that. Right now, we are Christians. He asked us to stay at 2 minutes. I don't know that we can do that, but let's work on it. Today, I want to say that it is marvelous that this young man, he's 46, but he's young, that this young man has done what he has done to let us know who George Floyd was. I'm glad to know that in his last moment of breath, he called for his mother. And that means something about who he was. He came up in a family that was close and that loved each other. I heard from people who knew him as a student, fellow student, an athlete, who realized that he also was a team player. And finally, he was a person who knew the Lord and who believed in him and who trusted him. People have been wondering whether or not this is going to be like other movements. I came to this city in 1955, which was the year that the body of Emmett Till was found in a body of water in Mississippi. Same year that Rosa Parks refused to give up the back seat on the bus. And it was that year that I came to Houston. Since that time, I have seen any number of struggles against racism, and they have all ended up with relatively little outcome. So the question is valid. It's a reasonable question. Is this going to be just like so many other movements? A moment of anger and rage, and then back to business as usual? You could say that, because the prejudiced and the bigoted are not going to change. But we can do some things to change them. And that's what I hope we will do. First of all, we can make sure that we don't stop the fight, that we stay with it, and that we make sure that somebody knows that we are not going to stand for this to keep on going. Obviously, the first thing that we have to do is to clean out the White House. That has to come closer to us than Washington. Our states and counties and cities have to have good leadership. And that means that we have to go and vote. But you know, a young man from humble beginnings can change the world. How do I know that? partly because George Floyd came from humble beginnings. And now, as many speakers have said, everybody on earth knows who George Floyd is. He was a man of no rank or title. He was a man who came from humble beginnings. But God has done some things, even through this tragedy, that has let the world know about Big Floyd, Big George. You know, there was a man who was humble, came from humble beginnings. You could say CUNY Homes, but it was a stable in Nazareth. And that man didn't have a home. And his wife was about to have a baby. And since he didn't have a home, there was no bed for her to have that baby in. But in that stable, there was a manger. And he went to that manger, and that manger gave forth a baby. And that baby didn't have any title either. He lived at a time when the Roman government was making it very hard for Jews. And he was that we will stay behind that demand.
Violence or looting to honor George's life with love. You called a president who sought to dominate to live in a peaceful world where we deliberate. You called those people whose perfect fear casts out anything that even looks like love with a perfect love that casts out fear. And you have been a model for not just America, but for the whole world. And now we must follow your good example, calling out anything that doesn't honor George or any of the rest of us: domination, injustice, oppression, racism. Stephen Kleinberg, the eminent sociologist at Rice University, has taught us that Houston, Texas is the most diverse city in America. Houston, Texas is ethnically and demographically today what America will be ethnically and demographically in the year 2050, which means we are the experiment in America for how races can get along. But unless and until we are willing to be as brave and as truthful as you have been, nothing will change. The experiment will not yield any new data. We will simply do over and over again what we have done over and over before until, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So it must be different this time. And I have to tell you, at my church, it is easy to not talk about racism. At my church, it is easy to dismiss as politics the economics of hundreds of years of systemic racism, but not talking and not acting is the path to destruction. And we can watch that on the news every night and ask if that's the future we want for ourselves. So could I just have the privilege? I'd like to say a word to white churches. We are better than we used to be, but we are not as good as we ought to be, and that is not good enough. Which means you have to take up the work of racial justice. Racism did not start in our lifetimes, but racism can end in our lifetime. But only if you ask and I ask, what am I going to do about it? And while it is still bothering you, write down what you're going to do on a note card and tape that card on the mirror you see every morning when you get up and every night before you go to bed. And each night ask, was I true to the calling? And every morning ask, what can I do today to bring God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven? Gianna, I saw you on TV. and a reporter asked you what was the best thing about your daddy, and you said, "My daddy changed the world." And if we will do our part, you will have been a prophet. So from your mouth to God's ear. Amen.
Thank you, Steve and Dr. Lawson, and to this wonderful family that has demonstrated what it means to be faithful and courageous. All of us and our lives begin with obscurity. We don't know how it would end in history. No one thought on that January morning of the 15th day of 1929 that that boy would grow up to be the liberator to a movement called the Civil Rights. No one knew. In August in 1961, on the 4th day, in Hawaii of all places, in obscurity, that the first African-American president would be born. And nobody knew. On October the 14th, 1973, in obscurity, Fayetteville, North Carolina, parents boldly and courageously migrating to Houston, had no idea in 3rd Ward, CUNY Homes, Jack Yates, that God had birthed someone that now belongs in a rightful place of history. We all begin in obscurity. We don't know where we'll land in history. The question of theology and theodicy is, where was God in all of this? God was and is where God has always been. God didn't cause it, but God can certainly use it. Unfortunately, we've almost turned it into cliche, but it's Christian bedrock belief that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. And so to this family today, God is working his way, and he has been where he always will be. I leave you now with these words: trials dark on every hand. And we cannot understand all the ways that God will lead us to that blessed promised land, but he'll guide us with his eye if we'll follow him till we die, and then we'll understand it better by and by.